Immigration to the United States has been a major source of population growth and cultural change through much of its history. In fact, nearly 28% of the population of the United States are immigrants. And this year, over 2.5 million illegal immigrants entered the United States. A majority of them are from the South American and Central American countries. But what's interesting is that over 800,000 of them, these illegal immigrants, are Chinese. Three startling figures there.
Absolutely.
It's the highest inflows of Chinese into the US. What's
Absolutely.
going on?
So if you look at historically, Sandeep, there has been illegal immigration happening from
Yes.
China. But what we're seeing now, especially since, let's say, the last 3 years in particular, there's been an upsurge in Chinese immigrants.
Right.
So this actually tells you something about what's going on in China, within the country,
Yeah.
challenges that people are facing. So to my mind, what's driving this influx of new Chinese immigrants into China is basically the fact that everyone is now looking at the economy slowing down.
Right.
And there is no sign of employment getting better.
Yeah.
In fact, you will recall that the last data that came out for youth unemployment between
Yes.
6 and 24 was about 21%.
21,
and then
yes.
the Chinese government said, we're not going to put out any more data because it's too embarrassing for us.
And even the numbers going ahead, 2027, the data is like 4% GDP growth and all.
That's
abysmal.
right. So China is, I think, looking at, after almost 40 years of
Right.
explosive growth,
Yeah.
is finally looking at maybe an extended period of slowdown.
Right.
And that is one of the triggers. We're seeing this rise in number
Yes.
of Chinese illegal immigrants going into the US.
Right, and in fact, what does this mean for Xi Jinping? I mean, he's pitched China as the next superpower to rival the United States. It's going to overtake the United States. How can you do that when all your citizens are running away to, get into the US, especially the young population?
That's true. So as we know that China is an aging country.
Yes.
And their, one-child policy has made sure that the numbers aren't like what they needed to be,
Yeah.
driving the economy and driving the growth engine. So that's one big challenge for China, but it's still a 1.4 billion,
Yes.
country. But I think for Xi Jinping particularly,
Yeah.
Sandeep, this is deeply embarrassing.
Yes.
Like
Loss
you
of face,
said,
as they call
loss
it.
of face,
Yeah.
because like you said, I'm positioning myself as a new global
Yes.
hegemon.
Yeah.
I'm the new superpower in the world,
Right.
and I'm challenging Joe Biden when I
Yeah.
go meet him in San Francisco. So for him to say that, I still have people employing the run philosophy, literally running away from China, because they are unable
Absolutely.
to bear this a government which is persecuting, which is a police state
Right.
in many ways,
Right.
and then to have this economy slowing down.
Yeah.
So it's like a double whammy for a lot of these people.
Right.
And Sandeep, I suspect the people who are leaving are not the poorest of the poor people
Yes.
in China.
Yeah.
My sense is the people who are leaving are basically people who made some money
Yeah.
from the economic boom that has happened over the past several decades.
Yeah.
And now they don't want their children to go through this system or face
Yes.
a downturn in the economy where they may be facing uncertainty in terms of employment,
Right.
or their wealth going down. So they're taking this risk and saying that, okay, I'm going to go across to the US with whatever little money I have, because they are very sophisticated, Hawala system,
course.
you can say that, because it comes through New York, the Chinese
Right.
Chinatowns and everything. So they are taking this chance and then going over to the US.
Right, and the interesting part is that the kind of trek that they have to go through, those, like you mentioned in the documentary, that they have to go through malaria-infested swamps.
Absolutely.
And literally run through hoops to get into the United
Right.
States. And the most interesting thing in that story, political freedom. A lot of them were talking about, we don't have political freedom, and now the trade-off that Deng Xiaoping had made after Tiananmen was that, listen, I'm going to make you rich beyond your wildest
Right.
dreams. Don't ask for political freedom. You think that time has come now? They have to start kind of loosening up a bit.
So that is the biggest challenge that Xi Jinping faces.
Yeah.
If the youth in China become restive
Yes.
and start questioning the legitimacy of the Communist Party,
Right.
I mean, that's the biggest threat to them. Right, so I think he wants to quell that at any cost. But this is a clear indication that there is a growing number of people in China who are unhappy with the economic situation, who would rather risk their lives trekking through 60 miles of this Darien Gap
Yes.
through these mountains, rivers,
Yeah.
and like, dense jungles where there's absolutely no help if you fall, break your,
Yeah.
bone or something. There is no help that's going to come. In fact,
Yeah.
more than 250 people have lost their lives, over the last 10
Yeah.
years just trying to cross this Darien Gap.
Darien Gap, absolutely. It's one of the most horrific crossings that anyone could attempt, and the fact that they're doing it suggests that they want to get in at any cost.
Absolutely. Do or die.
Yeah. So, Sri, you were in the United States for a number of months recently. How much of an issue, an election issue, is this in the United States now?
So, unfortunately, Sandeep, there has been a lot of anti-China sentiment.
Yeah.
As unfortunate because it is playing out on the people there in the US,
Yes.
who are not to be blamed, and
Yeah,
they
yeah.
are not like
They're just trying to make a good life
exactly.
for themselves.
So that's the unfortunate bit. But I think US has finally woken up to the fact that they have given China a free ride for far too long.
Yes.
Especially when it comes to intellectual property.
Yeah.
They pretty much held themselves to whatever IP that was coming out of the US. All the factories that were set up in China, the local partner has merrily held themselves to those IPs.
Yes.
In fact, set up parallel factories. We had the case of a fake iPhone store, Apple store coming up, right next door to a legitimate one.
Yeah.
So that's the
right.
extent to which China has actually taken this whole, US friendship to it's abused it in some sense. And
Right.
US has now woken up saying, wait, this is it.
And it's now time to pay the bills.
Pay the
after
bills, and
4
now we're going to
decades.
tighten the news on
Yeah.
your access to high-tech chips
Right.
and everything, so you don't catch up with us.
Right. So, I mean, one of the parameters for the attractiveness of a country is immigration. Right. Everyone wants to run to the
Absolutely.
US because it's the #1 economy.
Right.
And the rumors of the United States demise are exaggerated, greatly exaggerated. You think there'll be a time when Americans are going to try and run into China as illegal immigrants?
Maybe not in
Yeah.
our lifetime. I hope I'm right, but I don't see that happening, because ultimately, what people want, apart from, of course, a good living, is freedom.
Yes.
You cannot constantly live under a police state where every step is being watched on CCTV camera, whether
Right.
you're, and there's a citizen score
Yeah.
which decides your access to government services,
Yes.
whether you can actually live in a city or not, or whether you'll be sent back to your village.
Right.
So that is a very dark kind of a government to live under.
Yeah, probably the Orwellian state, as George
Absolutely.
Orwell
It is
imagined
an Orwellian state,
Yeah,
absolutely,
it is, and you can watch this story, The Great Chinese Exodus, only on the News9 Plus app. Do download and watch. Thank you, Sri.
News9 Plus. Download now.